Hi darling, welcome back to my channel. I'll see you darling Sophie. Thank you to all my returning subscribers. I love you so very much and I still pray for you. Yes, I do. And if you're just coming to my channel for the very first time, oh my. Oh darling, you're very much welcome and I love you too. Thank you for coming in. Please, why don't you join the family by clicking the subscribe button so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll be notified. And don't forget, I pray for my subscribers. You've heard me say it. Yeah, I do. So by clicking the subscribe button, you will not only be joining the family, but you also know that someone is praying for you every day. Yeah, I do. Okay. Today's topic will be continuation of the last video that was uploaded on getting it right in your marriage. So today's topic will be continuation of that very video and trying to throw more light and we'll continue. It's gonna be a series just like the sex series we had the other time. This video is gonna be a series, so this is gonna be the second video that will be coming out on getting it right in your marriage. So if you haven't watched the first video, please go back and watch the first video so that you can understand. But if you feel you don't need to watch the first video, no problem, you can still pick up from here. All right, okay. All right, let's just take it up from here because I don't want to make this video unnecessarily long, and I may not be telling you much stories today. Let's just go straight to it. All right, I'll be talking about mistakes you must never make in your marriage. Yeah, mistakes that couples often made that comes back to hit them real hard in their marriage. So I wanted to talk about these mistakes. Just like I said in the other video, I want it to be a discussion. So if you feel you don't agree with me or you agree with me and there is an opinion that you want to also bring in, feel free to air your view in the comment section below, and I'll be glad to hear your view about it all. So let's talk about it. Mistakes that couple make oftentimes, or maybe once in a while, that comes back hitting them real hard in the marriage. And the very first on my list is failure to understand that your marriage is a dynasty. Yeah. When couples fail to understand that their very marriage is a dynasty, they tend to dishonor it in ways they don't know that they are dishonoring the marriage. And I'm going to give you instances on how you dishonor your marriage, thinking that you are honoring someone else. And I'm also going to give you instances on some points I'll be making here. But let's talk about failure to understand that your marriage is a dynasty. All right. In every dynasty, there is a king and a queen. And of course, the husband is the king of this dynasty and the wife is the queen. So, how do you fail to understand your kingship and your position as the queen in this dynasty? Is when you fail to understand what the Bible talked about. When the Bible says, leaving your mother and your father and cleaving to your wife. This very passage has oftentimes been misunderstood by people. But to my own understanding, I don't want you to take it the selfish way, the way other people do it, because I am very sure it's not what the Bible was talking about. Leaving your parents and cleaving to your wife, please understand it. It doesn't mean abandoning your parents. It doesn't mean not caring for your parents. And this doesn't mean not helping out your family. The family where this dynasty, is coming from. No, that is not what the Bible is talking about. So now let's talk about leaving your father and your mother and cleaving to your wife. It means being independent. The moment you get up as a man and decide that you are man enough to propose to a woman, to be somebody's husband, to be somebody's dad. It means you are saying to your parents, I am man enough to run my life, to run a home. So leaving your father and mother means you have to be totally independent financially, and you have to be totally independent when it comes to being a daddy boy or being a mommy girl. You need to be independent in making decisions, good decisions for your life. You don't have to be the type of a man or the type of a woman that always goes back to the family for advice, or goes back to the family for your financial upkeep, or goes back to the family for one unnecessary help or the other. And that doesn't mean you should abandon that family either, because I've always said it. Know that your spouse doesn't emanate from roots. He or she has a roots, and you need to also love them as well. Yeah, I preach that, and I believe that. I don't believe in throwing them away or sending them to hell. No. So, understanding that your marriage is a dynasty, and you are the king or the queen in this dynasty. What this means is this: you need to take proper control of this marriage. As the man, you need to be in charge. Let me make you understand that in every kingdom, there are rules governing them. And any kingdom or any country that doesn't have rules and regulation, things go messy. Rules and regulation helps us to stay in control. It checkmates us and it helps us. It guides us well. So you being the king and the queen in this dynasty, you are supposed to make the rules yourself. You are supposed to be in charge of what is happening in this marriage. You are supposed to be the decision makers. I am not a believer of a marriage where the in-laws interface in the order of things in that marriage. I am not a believer of any marriage where the in-laws decide what happens in someone's marriage. I'm not a believer of such things. And you need to understand that this dynasty, if it falls, you were to blame, not your parents. And you also need to understand that if this dynasty gets glory, it is your name that is involved, not your parents. You are the one that failed. You are the one the world is talking about, not your parents. The more reason you need to be careful on how you rule this dynasty. And the more reason you need to be careful on what you do and you don't do, what you permit and what you don't permit to happen in this dynasty. Alright? So that is one thing I want you to understand. And that is one of the things that makes people dishonor their marriage, because they don't understand that you are a new dynasty and that you need to carry on this dynasty with honor. You need to carry it with honor. If you dishonor it in any way, I tell you, your parents will not honor it. And if you try to honor it, your parents will honor it. You need to value what you have before you expect others to value it. Yeah, you need to understand that. So, now that I've made that point clear and noted, let's talk about how people make deadly mistakes that affects their marriage. Oh darling, let's talk about it. So, dishonoring your marriage. Okay, now let's talk about ways in which you can dishonor your marriage. Whenever you place anybody, anyone at all before your marriage, you are dishonoring your marriage. You are simply telling this person, I honor you more than I honor this marriage. I honor you more than I honor my king, my husband. I honor you more than I honor my queen, my wife. So whenever you place anyone at all before your marriage, you are dishonoring your marriage. And there are instances that you can do that. I will give you that instances, but let me make this point before I proceed. Take note of this. Your parents, your responsible parents, your responsible father and mother will never allow you to dishonor your marriage in order to please them. They know the implication. They will never allow you to make any move, any decision, any action that would dishonor your marriage in order to please them. That is your responsible father or mother. Yeah, I choose that word. But you're selfish. The selfish ones, they don't mind. To hell with your marriage. Get me pleased first. Let me take my pleasure first. Your marriage comes second. Now, I want to tell you something. The person that you honored, dishonoring your marriage, if you think you're going to get the person pleased, you're making a mistake. You know what you're doing? You will forever please the person, making your marriage a second choice. If you don't, you will enter the person's bad book of record. So, why start what you can't finish? You dishonor your marriage today and get this person pleased today. Tomorrow, be sure you're going to still dishonor your marriage to get him or her pleased, or else you are going to enter his or her bad book of record. So my darling, I tell you, never you start what you can't finish. Let your marriage come first in everything you do. Anybody who considers his or her ego first and wants you to please and satisfy his or her ego before your marriage, I'm sorry, that is selfishness. Because the person have already trampled and trashed your honor and your dignity. Yes, the person has trashed the honor and the dignity of your dynasty. So, never you make the mistake of pleasing anyone first before your marriage. Always place your marriage first. Every other person comes second. Now let me give you an instance. For instance, you're staying in one-room apartment and then you have a visitor. Be it your father or your mother. Try as much as possible, if you can afford it, to get an extra mattress and make the floor comfortable for the person while you and your spouse sleeps on your bed. Never you make the mistake of saying, because it's daddy and because it's mommy, myself and my husband are gonna sleep on the floor and let your parents sleep on the bed. Anyway, no responsible parents would even accept the offer. You will make it, but they will end up turning it down. They will tell you, no, don't worry, I'll be comfortable on the floor. You have your bed. Why? Because they know that is a very big dishonor on your marriage. Leaving up your marriage bed for them, you sleep on the floor. You are simply telling them, we enthrone you in this marriage and we are ready to always enthrone you while we step aside. The only person that you are permitted to enthrone in your marriage is God. Anyone else other than God is not permitted to be enthroned in your marriage. You are meant to be in charge. Every other person is a third person. Now I tell you, the person you leave your marriage bed for and sleeps on the floor simply because she wants her ego to his or her ego to be maintained, or simply because she claims she cannot sleep on the floor, that person will always, mark my words, never honor your marriage. She will always see the reason to make you people please him or her first before your marriage. And that person will never ever regard that marriage, because you people have first disregarded it, dishonored it before him or her. No responsible person will allow couple to sleep on the floor while he or she sleeps on their bed. Take it from me, no responsible person will do that. It's always the selfish ones that will want you to dishonor your marriage just to honor them. Take note of what I'm telling you. You can make the offer to your parents, they will turn it down. Make sure you make the floor very comfortable for any guest if you don't have another apartment and you're staying in one room. I'm telling you this because experience has proven this, and I don't want you, darling, I don't want you to make some mistakes in your marriage. I don't want you to disregard your marriage or dishonor your marriage, because by doing that, you're simply telling people you can dishonor this marriage, you can disregard this marriage. I don't care about it as much as I care about other things. You need to prioritize your marriage. You need to protect the honor and the dignity of your marriage. That way, other people can as well emulate from you and honor your marriage. But when you trash it and when you disregard it, anyone can learn from you and dishonor it, and you don't have a say. You don't have a say about that. You started it. Okay? You set the pace, they follow. So, my darling, this is just one instance to always know that there are some things you do that dishonors your marriage. And these people you end up doing this thing for, you think you're showing them respect, you think you're showing them love. They are selfish, that's why they accepted it. They are selfish, that's why they allow you to do it. If you do that to any responsible person, they will sit you down and advise you, you don't do this. Your marriage first. No matter what they are about to gain in your actions or in what you are about to do to dishonor your marriage, they will tell you straight and frank, don't do this. Your marriage first. You are a couple. No, you need this. Now let me just this is funny anyway, but I want to tell you something. I felt bad, but I understood it when the woman let her talk to me. I entered the church auditorium with my husband, and we were about to sit. So I saw an elderly woman coming. So I tried to, adjust for the person, for the mommy to sit. And my husband was already seated, so I was to sit next to him. But when I saw the woman was coming, and maybe she saw that she felt there was another space or something, so I adjusted for her to go sit close to my husband while I take the back seat. She said, "No, just sit next to your husband. I'll leave." That is an instance. Later, that woman approached me and said, "That what you did, don't do it again. Always make sure you stay close to your husband." It has a meaning. It can always help you people to connect even when you're in congregation. Now, we went to church another time. My husband and myself, we walked in. Immediately we walked in, my husband was already seated, and I was to sit in another chair because there was another lady already seated. This time around is a lady, not even a mother, already seated. So I went to sit the other side. The lady stood up. I was like, "No, you go sit next to your husband." I was like, "No, it doesn't mean just sit." She said, "No, go sit close to your husband." She packed her bag, left. She stood up and left immediately. So while we got talking during on the course of the program, I later got talking with her. I was like, I wouldn't have mind. You shouldn't have, stood up. You would have just sat down there. How many hours are we going to stay in church and everybody goes home? She said, "No, I cannot dishonor any couple. I'm not yet married, and I hope to be married tomorrow. And I always want to stay close to my husband. I want my place to be beside my husband." That scene thrilled me. I was like, I held her hand. I was like, "May God fulfill every of your good desires, and may your marriage always be your blessing. You will get a man that will love and cherish you and really keep you close and next to him. God will give you the love of your husband." I prayed for her. These instances I'm telling you, these are just mere things that anyone can ignore. But I tell you, there are good and responsible people in the society that really understand the union of marriage. And there will always be those people that they don't care, they don't regard it. They are ready to trash it. Hell you are what? Mr. and Mrs. and so, you are married and so. If they come to your house, they want to take over the leadership. They want to be in control. I'm going to give you instances. When such people comes around you, they don't want to be treated as guests. They want to be the owner of the house. They want to be in charge. But I tell you, darling, if you are the one watching this and you have been doing this, I tell you, by dishonoring married people around you or dishonoring people's marriages, you are simply telling God that you don't wish to have a marriage that will be honored. Yes. When next you go to married people's houses, please behave as a guest and let them show you their hospitality and their love. Allow yourself to be treated as a guest you are. Don't go assuming positions that are not yours. Remember, this is someone else's dynasty and you are trying to dishonor it. You don't come to somebody's house and start claiming and trying to, score shots. No. Go to your house and score shots, not in someone else's home. You don't dishonor people's marriage simply because you want to satisfy your ego. No. As much as you want to satisfy your ego, don't trample on someone else's prestige or positions because you're simply telling God that you don't want to have such. And I tell you, you don't deserve it, so God doesn't have to give it to you. Have you heard of a saying that says, give honor to whom honor is due? Oh yeah. What it means is this: irrespective of this person's position, irrespective of this person's status, irrespective of what you think, that you are bigger and higher than this fellow, give this person the honor due to him or her. So, when you see married couple, give them the honor due to them. When you go to people's homes, don't dishonor their marriage simply because of your selfish ego. Respect people's marriages so that yours can get the honor due for it. Yes. So, I'm back to you, my darling. So, if you have been dishonoring your marriage with little things that you don't know the meaning, I hope God opens your eyes to think before you act next time. Oh yeah. The fellow you leaves your bed for and sleeps on the floor and she enjoys it and go home. The next time she visits, she will expect more from you. And if you don't do it, you are in trouble. So, always make sure that you honor your marriage first. Now listen, I want us to talk about something else. Some people will tell you, yes, they place their parents before their marriage first because the Bible said you should honor your father and your mother. That is not what the Bible is talking about. Honor your father and your mother. Don't disrespect them. When your father and your mother visits in your home, they are your guests, your VIP guests. There are many ways you can give them your respect without trashing your marriage. You need to know how to set limits and boundaries. Never you disrespect your mother or your father when they visit, but never you relinquish your position or give up your marriage for them, because some of these mothers and fathers are selfish, and when they visit home, they only want to cause wreck. Yes, some in-laws carry their selfishness to their siblings or brothers or sisters' homes, and they go there to express it because they feel they have the right and they can get whatever they want, and they don't care if this marriage crashes. After all, it's not theirs. So you need to know that you are the one in this marriage, and this is your dynasty, and if this marriage crashes today, it is your shame. And if there is any glory that comes out of this marriage, it is your name that is also involved. So treasure your marriage, honor your marriage, always place your marriage first. That is what I'm talking about, darling. So the number 2 point I want to talk about is giving up your position as a king or a queen in your home. I've already established the fact that every marriage is a new dynasty, and in each dynasty there's always a king and a queen. Yeah, they make the rules, and everybody under that household have to abide by their rules. Yeah, every other person abides by the rules they set. Yeah, and this includes every other visitor that comes. Now, I want to tell you something. When your parents visit your home, treat them as a king from another palace. Yes. Honor them as a king from another palace. Never you forget that your parents are kings and queens too. When king visits another king in his palace, you know what? He or she is always welcomed in an honorable way, right? Yeah. But that doesn't mean that that king that have come is coming to dethrone this other king, to get him or herself enthroned. So when your parents visit, please give them the honor due to them. Remember that they are also kings and queens from another kingdom. Oh yeah. And you were once, or you were still part of that kingdom. So when you see them, please honor them as a king. Honor them as a queen. Don't treat them with less regard or less dignity. And I tell you, if you are watching this and you are a king or a queen, going to visit another king or a queen in their dynasty, please don't go there to dethrone them and enthrone yourself. Now let me tell you, when you give up your throne for another king to take over the leadership, whether for a day, 2 or 3 or 4, I tell you, if that king is not a good king, his bad leadership in where he's coming from is what he is coming to establish in your new dynasty, So if the person has been a bad king or a bad queen, he or she is coming to introduce it right into your marriage, because what? You really wished your position. You enthroned him or her. You feel he or she is capable, more capable than you are. And you forgot that you have proven that you are independent, that you are capable of running this dynasty. And now, behold, another king or another queen comes in. You are giving up your position for the person to take over the leadership of your dynasty. I tell you, the person is coming to introduce any bad or good leadership that he or she has from where she is coming from. And don't forget, bad is domineering, you know. If you have a little right, the person bad that he or she is coming to introduce can quench it. Oh yeah, it can overcome it. Evil thrives faster than good, you know. Oh yeah, it does. So always stay on top of your game, darling. Stay on top of your game, always. And don't forget to give honor to whom honor is due. That is what I'm talking about. You know, I oftentimes hear people say, it was when mama came that this one changed. It was when papa came that he said this. And you discover that the family that you have worked so hard to build, to raise in good morals, everything have gone down because mama or papa or auntie this or auntie that or uncle that came and changed the whole game. Now let me tell you a brief story of an uncle that visited a home, and when those people leaves, he always sent out one of their siblings to go buy him a cigarette, to go to the street and get him an, you know what I call it, Ibo Majoran, okay? Alright, so this boy will always go get those things for the uncle and come home. He will always order them out to go get him some drinks, and of course the siblings always do that. Now I tell you, before these parents know what is happening, their boy is already smoking head. Real head. He was uncle's errand boy. And do you know what? The king in this dynasty sits down. It's his elder brother. His elder brother sent him out. His elder brother this, his elder brother that. And his boy learns how to smoke from his elder brother. He wasn't on top of his game. You need to be on top of your game. You need to know what is happening in your home. You need to still be in charge, no matter who visits, no matter who comes to live in your house. Take charge of your home. God is going to hold you accountable for that marriage, not the person you're giving up your position for. Now, I want to tell you this. And I want to be frank about it. If that marriage crashes, the world doesn't want to hear what you have to say and who you want to blame it on, whether it was your mother or your father or whoever. And same thing with God. Give an account of this dynasty, of this new kingdom that God has put in your hand. You don't have to go back and tell God, it was my mother that came and shut out it all. It was my sister that came and shut out it all. No. You are to be held accountable for whatever becomes of this new dynasty. And that is why you need to be in charge. That is why you need to be on top of your game, darling. You understand, right? I'm sure you do. Alright. Let's just go to the next point and try and make this video snappy because I don't want it to be too long. Oh yeah. I want us to talk about the third point, and that is going to be the last point because I don't want this video to be long, like I said. Now, the third point is carrying on your parents' wrong pattern. Carrying on your parents' wrong pattern, and you will ask me, what is wrong about your parents' pattern? Please, darling, I don't want you to misunderstand me. This very topic is quite easy and simple to understand. When I say carrying on your parents' wrong pattern, that doesn't mean that everything your parents did was totally wrong. I mean those ones that you knew are bad. You need to drop them in your house before you set into this marriage. And if you haven't dropped them already, I'm sorry. If you're trying or struggling to change, I'm sorry. You don't need to, start importing them back. Now, I want to tell you something. The easier way to do good is identifying what is bad and calling it bad. You don't need to be shady all the time, no. And you don't need to, keep deceiving yourself or lying to yourself. Let's come home. We know our parents. Of course, we know them better than anyone else. We know their good sides and we know their bad sides. Of course, everyone does know their parents' good side and bad side. What I'm saying is this. Those bad sides you saw in your parents, please don't carry it on in this new dynasty. Simply because you love them, simply because you want to honor them, simply because you want to obey them. No. When the Bible says obey your father and mother, it doesn't mean that when your father and mother is doing wrong, you should obey them. It doesn't mean that when your parents advises you wrongly, you should go ahead and take on their wrong advice because they are your parents. Don't go there, darling. Obeying your father and mother doesn't mean that you should obey everything they tell you what to watch, even when you know it is wrong. I want to believe there's still a little conscience in you that will always let you know that this is wrong. Don't do it. Now, I want to tell you an instance. A mother visited her son's house. While she was there, the daughter-in-law did everything to make sure that she is quite comfortable, and she was, there at her every beck and call. But she never knew that her so-called mother-in-law wasn't happy with all the love that her son lavishes on her. Each time she saw, their connection, she feels bad. Why? She didn't enjoy that much love from her own husband. And seeing her son treats another woman better than she was treated, boils her stomach. Do you know what? At the end of her stay, the son was taking her off to the park. She called the son that she wants to give her an advice. I'm telling you this, it's a true life story from my friend. In fact, when he told me this was the advice his mother gave him, I couldn't believe it because I know the woman. Now he said the mother called him and said, "You are doing it too much. You are overdoing it. How can you be showing her that too much love? She's going to take you for granted. You need to reduce it, cut it down. It's too much. You're lavishing all that love on her. Me, that is your mother. Did you ever saw your father treat me that way? Did you ever saw your father cherish me that much? So why do it to another woman?" My darling, this is an advice from your mother to her son after visiting a home and was well taken care of by a good daughter-in-law. The blessing she could give was to carry on her evil seed, the jealousy in her, to sow an evil seed in the life of her son before going. So tell me, if this my friend is not someone that has the fear of God and knows that this is an evil advice from his mother, before you know it, it will start germinating in him. And by the time that evil seed germinated in him, it will spring up, bear fruit. It will just, boom, bear fruits and begin to manifest. Marriage will crash. That's the end of the story. In-law visited, and what happened? They are jealous. So my darling, be mindful of the wrong pattern that you want to pick up from your parents to put in your marriage. Don't go off running to them for advice. You have already proven it that you're capable of running your home. So prove it to the end. If you have any issue with your wife, the Bible is always there to guide you, to direct you. Both of you can sit yourself down, tell yourself the hard truths. If you have to face it once and for all. Don't forget, darling, the truth is always a bitter medicine. Oh yeah, a very bitter medicine, and many people find it hard to swallow this bitter medicine. But I tell you, if you have any problem with your spouse, sit him or her down, talk things out, tell yourself those bitter truths. Face it once and for all. If it pains you or boils your stomach, let it do that a day or two. Get over it and face the truths. But don't go running off to your parents who you know that their marriage is a mess, who you know that they got it wrong, or your sister who you know that cannot even give you a good advice because she is not even enjoying that much in her marriage and she's jealous. So why would she give you a good advice for your wife to enjoy that much? Or you start running off to your uncle who you know is a very bad influence in you, or your uncle who you know is going to mess it all up, is a very bad influence. Is it the person you want to run off to for advice and how you want to run your dynasty, your kingdom? I'm sorry, you're going to get it all totally wrong. Yeah, I want you to understand and believe that not all people whose marriages fail actually wishes others to have failed marriages. No. I've seen a good number of people that have failed marriages, and each time you come in contact with them, they give you good advice and they will tell you, "I don't want your marriage to fail the way my own failed. I did not enjoy this, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't want you to enjoy it." And there are other people, that it's just not in their nature to see other people prosper more than they do. It's just not in their nature to see other people enjoying what they are not enjoying. There will always be these two kind of people in the society, so watch out for them. And there are seeds, there are signs to actually know who is who and categorize them and place them where they belong and know how to tread carefully with them. So, if you are running out for advice, off to your parents, off to your uncle, off to your sister or your brother, be careful what they tell you and what you pick from them. Okay? I attended a wedding sometime in Enugu, and in fact, it was the best wedding of its kind. I mean, the officiating pastor handled it. I like the way he handled it. I'm sorry to say, it's actually a redeemed wedding. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I have to say this. It was actually a redeemed wedding. Oh yeah, a redeemed wedding. It was a redeemed wedding. So let me say, it was even the first redeemed wedding that I ever attended. So the officiating pastor called the groom parents out and called out the bride parents and made them stand before the congregation, and then he told them that as the representative of the Most High God in this wedding, that he is giving them a mandate, that now that these two have been joined to be one, that none of them is permitted to give any of these ones advice concerning this marriage if two of them are not seated present. He rephrased it to each of the parents. You are not permitted to give your son any advice concerning this marriage if he is not seated present with his wife at the time you're giving that advice. He called out the parents of the bride and said the same thing. You are not permitted for any reason to sit your daughter down, give her advice concerning this marriage if she is not seated with the husband. And I was wondering, what kind of advice is this? Does it mean that the parents cannot call their daughter or their son and advise them? I didn't really understand that until now that I'm married, and until I started seeing some things that are happening in marriages. Okay, I began to understand that what that pastor was talking about is definitely not advising your own very well, but he's talking about those advice that will introduce evil seed that will come and scatter this marriage. So my darling, don't go borrowing your parents' wrong pattern. It's going to mess your marriage up, except you are not in this marriage for good. Then you can play with it and rush off for the next one. But I tell you, if you don't get it right here, even the next one, you're still going to mess it up because you messed up this. So if you think leaving this very marriage and going off to the next one is going to be better, whatever you think you're going to do in the next one, start doing it in this one and see if it's not going to work. Oh yeah. I do know that there are exceptions, but I'm telling you, do your best in this your marriage, and I tell you, it'll work. It'll work. It will. Take your marriage as your everything and give it your best, and you will never regret it. I'll never fail to tell you that marriage is sweet. I mean, it's one of the sweetest things that can happen to anyone on earth. You know, enjoying a union that you know is going to last for a long time. This is not something that you should play with. A lifetime commitment, a lifetime program is not something that you should play or toy with. I tell you, I treasure my marriage so much that I'm not ready to let any Tom, Dick, or Harry come spoiling it. I will fight you with every breath in me. Oh yeah. That is how much I treasure my home, my marriage, my husband, my children. Oh yeah, my baby for now. Okay? And that is what I want you. Your marriage should be your most cherished treasure. Yeah, it should be. It's not something that you should allow anyone contaminating for you. You know, when you love something so much, you carry it like a fragile egg that you don't want to, get broken. That is what I'm talking about, exactly what I'm talking about. So, your marriage should be your most cherished treasure. You carry it. It's not something you can entrust in someone else's hand and say, please hold this for me, I'm coming. Keep this for me. Let it be your most cherished treasure. You don't hand it over to anyone to take care of for you that you're coming. Be in charge. Don't allow anyone to come contaminating it with their bad lives. Some of these parents, they have lived their life, they've made their mistakes. You need to be better than your father. You need to be better than your mother. Identify those areas that your parents made mistakes and tell yourself, I am not going to make the same mistake that my father made. I'm not going to make the same mistake that my mother made. I must be better than my parents. Oh yeah. Every day you wake up in that marriage, tell yourself, this marriage must be different from my parents' marriage. Positively different. This marriage must be better than my parents' marriage. I must be better husband than my dad was. I must be a better wife than my mother was or is. Okay? That way, make that determination to fight the good fight to keep your marriage. Watch out for the evil ones that will want to scatter your marriage and take your joy away. I pray for you, darling, that your marriage will be your blessing. Your children will surround your table, and that you will grow old with the husband of your youth in Jesus' name. And I also pray this prayer. It is my everyday prayer, that my marriage shall be my blessing, and I will grow old with the husband of my youth, and that we will grow old to see our children and enjoy every of our labor in this marriage in Jesus' name. Amen. Yes, I'm growing old with my husband, and our children will be our blessing, and we will live to see our children. That is the promise of God for us. And you need to make this positive confession to yourself every day you wake up in that marriage. Confess it that this marriage will be a blessing to you, that you are not going to miss it, that you are going to make it, that this marriage will be an exemplary marriage for others. And don't just confess it. Fight the good fight. Put in every energy and every effort you can to make it work. It's not easy. I tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy for two people that grew up in two different families with totally two different patterns of upbringing to come together and say they want to start doing everything together till death do them part. My darling, do you know what that means? You have so much to endure. You have so much to tolerate. You have so much to love. You have so much to fight for. And you have so much to treasure, nurture. Okay? So, start making up your mind on getting it right. Because I want you to get it right. And I really do want you to enjoy your marriage, darling. Yeah, I do. It's not easy. Your spouse grew up in a totally different environment. A totally different set of people. It's probably parents that have, sown some evil or bad seeds, with so many bad experiences or good experiences while he or she was growing up. And you two grew up in a totally different family and environment. Both of you are coming together. Try to influence each other positively and not negatively. Drop those bad things you have seen in your families that didn't make it glorious. Don't forget that righteousness exalts a nation, and sin is a reproach to every nation. Yes, it's only righteousness that can exalt your kingdom, your marriage. Sin will always be a reproach for you. So don't go picking up those wrong things you see in your parents, your dad, your mom, your sisters, and the rest of your relatives that didn't make it. Some of them may not want you to make it because they didn't make it. And some will always want you not to miss it, especially in those areas they missed it. Yeah, there will always be those good-hearted ones, I know. So, my darling, I pray that God gives you the strength, the grace, and every energy you need to make your marriage work in Jesus' name. Amen. Until I come your way again, don't forget I'm still your darling Sophie. Make sure you click that subscribe button before you leave. Click that subscribe button. It's totally free of charge. You will be getting notification whenever I upload a new video. Like on your way again. Still blessed, darling. Bye.